Hello, everyone, and welcome to AMMWEC Speaks, a platform where we bring you voices that are shaping America and building bridges across communities. I'm Anila Lee, the president of AMMWEC, and we're honored to highlight extraordinary women whose leadership inspires the next generation. Today, we are joined by a remarkable leader who represents not only her country, but also the power of women in diplomacy and global leadership. Our guest is the Ambassador of Panama to the United States, to OAS, a distinguished diplomat whose work strengthens the relationship between our two nations and highlights the growing role of women in international affairs. So, in this conversation, we will talk about her childhood, her journey into diplomacy, the lessons she's learned along the way, and how women everywhere can reach their greatest potential because it is Women's History Month. So, welcome, Ambassador, to AMMWEC Speaks. We're honored to have you with us today. Rajan? Ambassador, you're muted. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, hello.
Hello. So it is an honor and a pleasure, Anila, to be here today and share a little bit of my story, of my background, which I'm so proud of. And it's really an honor to be here in this platform with you today.
Thank you, Ambassador. We're honored to have you. And especially, during this 1 month, the day I met you, I said, amazing. We want our ambassador on our show. And without further ado, I'd love to hear about your childhood and your upbringing. And so, what were the early experiences in your childhood that led to your leadership journey?
Well, let me explain you a little bit. So I was born and raised in Panama. My father is a politician in the country and also a man that's come from very humble origins. He's coming from Azuero, a province called Los Santos, because he's always taught us the importance and the value of hard work and also the importance and the value of education. He and my mother, who is from Panama City but did her education in France. My mother is a teacher of French and English literature. She was also born in Panama and she raised 4 children. And number two of four, all of them live in Panama. My older brother is dedicated to agriculture and to cultivate the land. My sister married with two beautiful girls. She's based in Panama and she looks after a media and radio company. And the younger brother is also in Panama, is an architect and a lawyer, and he's doing development of buildings and infrastructure in the country. I think it was very, very important since a very early age that we were between the city and the countryside, where I, couple of years after, became elected member of parliament from an area my father brought us since very little. It's a big farm with cattle, with horses, where we were going since very, very early stage. If you see the map of Panama, that area is closer to the Colombian border and is surrounded by different communities, indigenous communities, campesinos. And I remember at a very, very early stage riding horses with the people of the town, milking the cows, going into harvest. And that was something that I think shaped what I am today. I am extremely proud of what Panama is, of coming from such a country which has given us everything. My father, as I mentioned before, is a politician, member, and founder of many political parties. He was a deputy Supreme Court judge, many times member of parliament. And I think I got the political, let's say, vein through him. And also, he's somebody that taught us since very early the important values of family union. We're a very a family that values a lot the importance of community, the importance to stick together, and the importance of being always helping our peoples. I think this is a very, very important aspect of my childhood. I went to school in Panama. It was a girls' school called Las Esclavas. It's a school where only girls were allowed. It's a very Catholic school where I went there with my sister. And I graduated from there with a class of friends that we're still friends today because we spent, of course, more than 13 years of our lives together. And
Wow.
also a very, very, very important, and I would say very relevant part of my upbringing was sports. I did sports
Mhm.
since I was 5 or 6 years old. I started by horseback riding, so
Mhm.
horseback in a place in Panama called Panama Viejo. We
Wow.
started training with horses from the hippodromo, from the race court. And after that, I think my mother thought I was a very active child and she introduced me to this discipline called modern pentathlon. Modern pentathlon is 5 disciplines. It's horseback riding, shooting, fencing, running, and swimming. And
Wow.
5 disciplines where I represented my country until World Championships and Pan American Games, South American Games, Bolivarian Games. I specialized in fencing. And until
Mhm.
today, I served in 3 international federations as a board member. One of them is Modern Pentathlon as the vice president, elected 2 years ago. Another one is fencing, FIE, International Fencing Federation. And recently, last year, I was appointed advisor to World Aquatics, to President Al Hussein of World Aquatics based in Kuwait. So with this, I try to explain you how sports
Mhm.
shaped my life until today, and I'm still serving in this international federation. Of course, trying to give back to children and to youth what sports has given me. Remember, all the sports that I mentioned are not specifically big in Panama. We're talking about fencing, modern pentathlon, equestrian. However,
Mhm.
I think that any sports, even if you practice as a recreation or for competing, is extremely important. And now this year is so important for us, Anila, because we're having Panama team qualify to the World Cup, to the FIFA World,
Wow.
qualified in a historical moment because we just qualified last World Cup in Russia. We did not qualify for Qatar, and the team played so hard that we are now in the group with England, Ghana, and Croatia, and we're gonna play one match in New Jersey, two others in Canada. And also remember, we're hosting in the United States the LA 28 Olympic Games. So that's another game
Yes.
that we might probably experience as an ambassador here and receive my team as I did when I was ambassador in London. I served my country in London from 2011 onwards, and we hosted the Olympics there in 2012. And I also welcome my team in 2012 Olympic Games. So it's extremely important. Sports is not only a tool for competing, it's a tool that I see with through sports diplomacy. You will hear in very soon from different initiatives that we're doing here at the embassy with some think tanks and institutions such as the Meridian and Atlantic Council on sports diplomacy. I think sports brings people together, and that's
Yes.
exactly what Panama is. If you see our geographical position, Panama is a country that is a connection between the North America, South America, and the Caribbean. So it's a connection. It's a place of where many people came for the construction of the Panama Canal in the
Mhm.
in the early 19 in the early 20th century, 18th century too. And a lot of those Caribbean people that came to build the canal stayed in the country, and they are Panamanians now. Also, people from different continents came, and Panama is a melting pot. You will find a big Palestine community, a big Muslim community, a big Jewish community, a big Chinese community that are all part of what we are. Of course, we feel very Central American. We're part of the Central American integration system. We are part, of course, of the Caribbean because of our, if you see the map, we have uh,
Mhm.
in the Atlantic and in the Pacific, and we're also part of South America. Recently became observer members of the Mercosur thanks to the hard work of President Jose Raul Molina.
That's wonderful. Now, you mentioned your father, his influences. A lot of women, including myself, we find that if we have fathers that empower us, then we have a head start in life. And especially, coming from a Muslim background, for me, had my father not been the one to put us forward, he was also a diplomat like your father. So I'm excited to hear more stories from your life. Now, do this connection to sports and women's empowerment, discipline, leadership, all of that is proven, and I can't believe that you're a fencer. So that's amazing. But I want you to tell me if your sports actually helped you with, self-esteem and, becoming a leader. How did the sports help you?
Let me tell you, sports give you two very important things that I strongly believe you need in life. You in life need discipline and need a motive. So to have a goal. And I
Yeah.
strongly believe that even if you have the talent, which of course you will need in life, you can have talent, but if you lack of discipline and of purpose, it's very hard to achieve a goal. So having said that, maybe not only sport, but if you also like culture or arts, just to
Mhm.
having something on the side that motivates you and motivates your lifestyle, I think is extremely important. There are studies that have found out how children in unprivileged communities can have sports as a catalyzer of many problems. For example, I am come from a city where I was member of parliament called Chepo, and in Chepo, we are just finishing the first football stadium or soccer stadium in town. That people are very much looking forward to have, because when they come back from school, when they come back from work, not to be tempted by maybe criminal activities or other things that are not, appropriate. If
Yeah.
they have somewhere to go, to find community, to work in teamwork, that's another important aspect of sports. Even though my sports were individual, fencing, modern pentathlon, equestrian, you're always playing in a team, because you
Yeah.
cannot be a good fencer if you don't have a good coach, if you don't have a good teammates to practice with you. The same with boxing, which, by the way, we had an amazing boxer from Panama called Mano de Piedra Duran, and many others that have followed him. So I extremely encourage people education in these fields. Having said that, I think education is an extremely important part. We were discussing the law in Panama that promotes Major League Baseball camps in the country. Means that, for example, we have had many extremely good baseball players in Panama that have been playing here, for example, in the New York Yankees. One of them is Mariano Rivera, Carlos Lee,
Mhm.
David Ortiz, many others. These
Good.
these talented baseball players are not probably not the only ones, but they were the lucky ones that got to the United States and that could give back. We have so many talented child in Panama, so we just need the private sector and the government to encourage them in a good way, that they can explode those talents and maybe can go out of the country, train outside, and then give back, which is what Mariano Rivera and the others are doing these days.
Yes, I
I
think that's really important,
extremely
for the
important.
sports people that make it to come back to their communities and help, be role models for the young people that look up to them. So no,
Role
thank.
models, and then they become heroes in the community, which the ones that I mentioned actually are.
Hmm.
The boxing heroes that we have in Panama are extraordinary. Now our football and soccer team are stars. Of course, they qualify. We're the only Central American country qualified for the FIFA World Cup is Panama, not other.
Oh,
So this is a statement. This is a historical that we're gonna play in, of course, Mexico, United States, and Canada this year, and that's a pride. People are in the streets wearing the red shirt of our team called Marea Roja. because it's the
Oh,
term that we use for our team. It's called like a Red Sea, because when you go to the stadium, everyone is dressed in red to
red.
encourage our players to. So just the fact of being qualified is a big impulse. We're also hosting in Panama in April, so next month, the South American Youth Games in Panama, which is
Nice.
also historical because, would you know, when you do these games in a country, you then leave all the infrastructure in Panama, wherever the games are, and then you have the swimming pools, the stadiums ready for youth to keep practicing. So I think this is also extremely
Very
important
important. Yes.
to mention.
Ambassador, I had a question. So, when I was growing up, I was told that, after a certain age, you're too old to play sports, to being a girl. So, how are things like for girls in Panama? Are they encouraged like you are? Is it something that is for all young girls to pursue their dream of sports, or is it, for certain people and certain groups? How is that in Panama?
So these days, really, the government and the private sector are doing a fantastic work in encouraging everybody to do sports. In fact, now the women's soccer team are extremely active nationwide in soccer. But in any other of the disciplines, I will tell you something. The girls are sometimes better and more disciplined than men. For
Yeah.
example, you see little girls practicing modern pentathlon, which is a five disciplines event, and they are encouraging the fathers. I'm talking about a girl 8 years old to come and practice every time. So girls are extremely active, extremely independent, and the government and the private sector encourage them to continue. Of course, if you have parents that also help and you have a community that also helps, it's even easier to do it. I am proud to say that we are a very open country on terms of male and women opportunities for education. That's equal. Of course, we wanted, as a woman, I even want more women in a public positions. But I think as we speak, we have couple of ministers in the cabinet nowadays that are women. We have had already the first women president of Panama, Presidenta Mireya Moscoso, elected in year 1999, an
Mm.
extremely well-known and talented leader that led our country extremely well those years. And
Mhm.
she's actually, as we speak, also a advisor to the current president in international affairs. And listen, 51% of the population of Panama are female. So our population is half half. And even though we are only a 4 million population in the whole country, most of the population concentrated in the major cities. However, women are demonstrating their capacity. Our number two at the Panama Canal is a
Mhm.
woman,
Mm.
Engineer Ella Espino de Marota. She has been working extremely hard in this position, which is unparalleled to have a position like this for a women. We have an extremely amazing women as Minister of Education, Lucy Molinar. Is an Afro-descendant woman, extremely hardworking, which was before a journalist. We have the Minister of Gobierno, government, is also women. So we have women leaders. The First Lady, Maricel, is doing an extremely job with her two daughters, three daughters actually, working with unprivileged communities in the different spaces in Panama. So, of course, as a woman, I will tell you that we need to do more. But I can tell you from my perspective, having served before in different positions, not only in foreign service in the UK, where I also represented Panama in three other countries,
Mhm.
Ireland, Iceland, and Norway, and was Panama permanent representative to the IMO, the International Maritime Organization, which for Panama is the most important international organization because of the canal, the ports, and our geographical position. But having served as member of parliament and having worked directly with indigenous communities, with campesinos, with islanders, I can tell you that we have amazing women. And there is something I want to say. In Panama, usually the head of the household is a woman. In the indigenous tradition, the one that feed the house, that organize the house, that is
Wow.
the leader, is usually a woman, especially in the Embera
Yeah.
and in the Gunas, which are two indigenous communities that I dealt with directly when I was member of parliament. One of them, Sara Omi, is the
Mm-hmm.
first women cacica. Cacica in Panama is called the leader of the tribe, women. And her mother, Omaira Casama, also Embera. Embera is the tribe name. It's also a woman. So, of course, as I said repeatedly, there are many things that we will need to continue doing, and we went 50-50. We want even more. We have come a long way, women's, we have come a long way. I think that the distinction that President Molino did to me to appoint me ambassador in to the OIS in Washington D.C. is also a big distinction that he understands that women are capable and that he believes in women.
And that you're representing them so well, and to hear your stories of sports coming from, fencing to horse riding, all of the sports that very few women in the world are given the opportunity to do. And as we say, mashallah, you're doing them so well. What do you think are the most popular economic activities that women in Panama get engaged in? Do they have like cottage industry? Are they in small businesses? Just some, insight into the women of Panama.
Women in Panama do everything. I'm so proud of all of them. They are amazing in small businesses, in entrepreneurship. I have to say that lately, the big percentage of the new businesses, small businesses, are run by women. For example, there is a institution in Panama called AMPIME, which is the authority in charge of small, medium businesses. And when they come and apply, you can see that many of the businesses are women. Which businesses? Businesses of a kitchen, businesses of selling jewelry, businesses of doing styling, fashion, dress designers. We have brought here so many talented fashion designers, women, that you won't believe. I'm gonna send you invitation for the next fashion show we're gonna do end of this year in Washington D.C., which we're gonna host many of the talented women. Apart from that, women are so encouraged to continue their education. Most of them have even more titles than men because they do master degrees, they do
Yeah.
postgraduate degrees, they do MBAs, and even though they are still wife, daughters, or sisters or partners, they continue their professions. Here at the embassy, at the mission, we are majority women, funny enough. My two assistants that are here with me today are male, but the others are majority women, and we encourage them. In fact, one of them gave birth last year, and she's coming back to work. We give them the flexibility if they need to bring their son. For example, funny enough, one of the sons of one of the colleagues here is working from the office today because he has a free day at school. So we try to encourage them. Being a mom should not stop
Won't
you
come in the
from
way.
your career. And I'm so proud to tell you that if I think of that, many years ago, maybe on my mother's time, women were not thinking on pursuing the careers as they are doing today. But today, they are applying to universities. They are learning other languages. They also don't want only to speak Spanish, English. They choose a third language, French,
Mm, yeah.
German, Chinese, Arabic, whatever
Mm,
it is, just to continue and pursue their careers. And I think that that's big importance coming from a continent
yes.
historically Latinos, a little bit male oriented. I think that's changing little by little. And by the way, Costa Rica just elected a leader, president of the Republic, women, and Colombia in their primaries 2 weeks ago elected one of the leaders. Hasn't win yet the election because they have to go to the final round, but one of them is also a woman.
A woman.
So
Oh.
it's not rare that we have women's in this part of the hemisphere.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for that update because I'm definitely following those elections. I did go to Colombia just in January and
Mm.
I loved it, but there were a lot of people who said, you must go to Panama, there, the Colombians. So I said, well, and then when I met you, I was very excited. So that's something that I really do want to go to Panama, discover. And but coming to a little bit on Panama US partnerships and relationships, what has been most exciting for you being the ambassador and building US Panama relations? What excites you? What's something you can share?
Well, let me tell you something which is very, very important for you to know. Um, the historical relations between the Republic of Panama and the United States are relations that are very strong and date from many, many, many years ago. Being ambassador to a multilateral organization such as the Organization of American States made me understand the importance of multilateralism for small countries like Panama. My president, Jose Raul Molino, and the foreign minister strongly believe in the importance of multilateral organization to strengthen the position of smaller countries. That
Mm,
is why this year, 2026, we're celebrating a bicentennial of the Amphicyonic Congress, which was the year in 1826 where Simon Bolivar met in the Isthmus in Panama and will be celebrated 200 years after in June 21st, 2026. As you know, we're a dollarized economy. We use the dollar as our currency.
mhm,
And the canal was started it started being built by the French and it was finished by the Americans in 1914. After that, in 1977, the Torrijos Carter treaties were signed, and that's where the canal passed totally to Panamanian hands in 1999 and has been extremely successful managed by Panamanians since then. So that's something that also makes me very proud that a small country like us, against many odds, have been managing so successfully a waterway that serves the world, because that's how we wanted to people to understand it. Panama is not a country that holds a canal for itself. The canal is neutral and the canal is serving every country in the world. The first user of the canal is the United States, and you have South American countries, you have Asian countries using it, but
mhm,
it's a channel that serves the world and it's a channel that is neutral and open for everybody. So after President Molino had a very important meeting together with other leaders of the Western Hemisphere last Saturday in Doral, Florida, Miami, Florida, you could see how the relations between the United States and Panama are extremely good. You have the United States have an amazing ambassador in Panama called Ambassador Kevin Cabrera, and
mm,
also there have been many exchanges of missions between the U.S. and Panama and vice versa on security and another matters. So we, as the president has said many times, we continue that we want that to continue being that way. I don't see why it won't. And this year, look this parallel. This year, America is celebrating 250
yeah.
freedom, and we are celebrating 200 years of the our bicentennial of the
Oh,
Amphicyonic Congress.
nice.
That's also a parallel, you know?
That's wonderful. So we're kind of celebrating together.
Yes.
And I look forward to meeting you at other events, especially of the 250th anniversary. But, Ambassador, I do have a question. What was the most important advice your father gave you, your mother, but I'm assuming your father was your, role model, mentor? What was one advice that he gave you that kind of stays with you? You know how there's always one thing that our parents say and we remember it because it means so much.
My father always tells me every day that he calls me, be happy. Happy,
Oh,
very simple.
yeah.
Because you can achieve everything, you can be anything, you can have all the wealth you can in the world, but which I don't have, but I'm just saying in a just yet, but
Mhm.
you need to be happy because we only live once.
True.
One, two, health. Look after your health. I
Yeah.
think we are here today. We don't know until when we're going to be in this world. And I think we need to look after ourselves sometimes. And something that is extremely important for both my father and my mother is family union. We are a very unified family. We wanted to continue that way and to preserve family values. I think
Mm.
that these days, I don't say everybody, but there is a tendency of losing values,
Mm.
respect for
Yes.
people. And I
Yes.
think that every one of us have its space in life when we respect other people. We might not think the same way, but it's important that when we sit at the table, even if a political discussion, we are respectful to each other because we don't know who we are hurting. So I try to live my day to day on those principles. Now I'm here. I'm not with my parents in Washington, D.C. I go to see them often. I'm here by myself, but I have a fantastic team that they are now like my family, and I have fantastic diplomatic ambassadors and colleagues that have embraced me since I arrived, same as they did when I was in the UK.
Mm.
And I really look forward to continue being that way because I think that that's how people will remember you. I think I seen many successful people with amazing values, and that's I think the most important.
And then I would ask you one more question as our closing question. What message would you give to young women who are watching, who may dream to be the ambassador of their country to Washington, D.C.? What should they do? How should they make their dream come true? Some parting advice for them.
Well, first of all, to tell every girl, every young woman that pursue their dreams. I think sky is not even the limit. I think that you need to continue working for what you really want. I think that nobody has the right to tell anybody that that's impossible. I think I never thought in my life that President first will appoint me as ambassador in the UK at such a young age.
Mm.
Until today, I've been the youngest ambassador appointed in the Court of St. James when I was only 27 years old.
Wow.
And I think the honor that President Molino has given me to appoint me ambassador of Panama to the OIS is also an extremely pride moment of my life, and I'm extremely proud of that. So pursue your dreams. There is no limits, and I'm sure that if you want something, you can achieve it sooner or later, but they will achieve it.
Thank you, Ambassador. There were so many questions I had that you answered, and I say Women's History Month. These are the kinds of conversation that remind us that women around the world, like yourself, are shaping diplomacy, building peace, and opening the doors for our future generation. And all of your points, they resonated: education, sports, and to see and to hear that Panama has grown from maybe patriarchy to matriarchy to being such a great important player in world diplomacy. And your message of being happy, always looking for happiness within yourself,
Happiness, happiness.
and taking care of your health are so important for us as women who stretch ourselves. I mean, we have to prove ourselves even more, like being a better daughter, a wife. We have to do all of that and then also worry about a career that we're doing well in everything. So we do get taxed a lot more than sometimes men do.
We are
But
too many, we judge ourselves too much,
yes,
and
absolutely.
we demand too much. We don't
Uh,
realize it. You
yeah,
understand? So
yeah.
when you came to realize, then you say, oh wait, wow, I'm doing that two, three times more than the others, because we have to fulfill daughter, wife, partner, you know, and
Yes, all of
profession.
those
So
relationships.
it's not easy, but it's also not impossible. Sometimes we have to do a pause, you know.
Absolutely. And with that, it's Friday, so I wish you a very happy weekend. I'm sure you're going to be busy. But at the same time, Ambassador, thank you. Be happy, be healthy, everyone. And let's try to pursue all our dreams, because we can achieve when we set our mind to it. And if our ambassador can be the youngest ambassador from Panama, then all of you can achieve your dreams. Just set your heart and your mind. Thank you, Ambassador, for joining us, sharing this conversation, and taking the time out of your busy schedule. And let's all continue to support women and sports, women in sports, very important, as you heard from Ambassador's story. And we look forward to having more conversations. Thank you,
Very
Ambassador.
much. It's been an
Thank
honor,
you.
Alina. Thank you.
Same here, ma'am.